I'll never forget the moment I pressed play. 300 people in expensive suits and designer dresses, all staring at the giant screen behind me. My hand was shaking so bad I almost dropped my champagne glass. But it wasn't nerves, it was excitement. After 10 years of planning, 10 years of building myself back up from nothing, I was finally about to destroy the people who destroyed me. The ballroom went dead silent as the video started. And there she was, Maya, my stepsister. The girl who ruined my life with one lie. She was sitting in some run-down bar, drunk off her ass, laughing with her friends like she didn't have a care in the world. What she said next, those words that came blasting through the speakers for everyone to hear, that was the moment everything changed. That idiot Ethan, her voice rang out through the speakers. I got rid of him to claim all the inheritance. The pregnancy that was from my dealer boyfriend, I got rid of it months ago. She laughed a sound that once would have shattered me. Now it was just the final nail in her coffin. Reporters' cameras flashed. I saw my stepfather's face drain of all colour. My stepmother clutched her chest. And Maya, standing just 10 feet away in her borrowed designer dress, looked like she was about to pass out. If you're hooked and want to see how this whole thing went down, please hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life stories, and drop a comment below, telling me what you would have done in my situation. Your support means everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began, to the day my life was destroyed, to July 4th, 10 years ago. I was 16 years old, standing in front of a smoking grill at our family's mansion, sweat dripping down my face despite the expensive air conditioning that cooled the rest of the house. It was Independence Day, and my step-family was throwing their annual 4th of July barbecue. Politicians, businessmen, country club types, all dressed in designer clothes and sipping cocktails that cost more than I made in a week. I wasn't really part of the celebration. I never was. My role was always behind the scenes, the help, the invisible boy who made sure everything ran smoothly, so the real family, my stepfather Richard, stepmother Catherine, stepbrother Caleb, and stepsister Maya could shine. My mother had died when I was 8. Cancer took her slowly, painfully, and when she was gone, I was left with nothing but memories and a father who couldn't cope. 2 years later, he married Catherine, a woman who saw me as nothing more than an inconvenient reminder of his past. She brought her own children into our home, Caleb, who was 2 years older than me and built like a linebacker, and Maya, who was 17 and beautiful, in that cruel, untouchable way that some girls perfect by high school. The blended family thing never really blended. From day one, I was the outsider. While Caleb got a new truck for his 16th birthday, I got a lecture about being grateful for having a roof over my head. While Maya got her own credit card with no limit, I had to ask permission to buy school supplies. I told myself it was fine. I told myself that if I just worked hard enough, was good enough, helpful enough, they'd eventually see me as family. I was such a fool. That 4th of July, I'd been at the grill since 6 in the morning, prepping ribs, burgers, hot dogs, the works. My hands were covered in marinade and burns from the flames. Nobody thanked me. Nobody even looked at me. I was just part of the scenery, less important than the decorative flags and bunting. Then Maya made her entrance. She came down the curved staircase of our mansion, like she was descending from heaven itself, wearing a white dress that probably cost more than a used car, her blonde hair perfectly curled, her makeup flawless. The crowd parted for her, and the compliments flowed like the champagne that servers were passing around. Maya, darling, we heard about Yale, congratulations. Yay! You look absolutely radiant, dear. An Ivy League girl. Your parents must be so proud. She soaked it up, playing the part of the perfect daughter, the golden child. When her eyes landed on me standing there covered in sweat and grease, something cold flashed across her face. She glided over her smile, never faltering for the guests, but her voice dropped to a whisper only I could hear. I need your car keys. Is it me size? She hissed. Brandon is picking me up in an hour. Brandon, the boyfriend our parents didn't know about. The 25-year-old drug dealer she'd been sneaking around with for months. I knew about him because I'd caught them together in the pool house one night. She'd made me swear not to tell, and like an idiot, I'd agreed. "Maya, you've been drinking," I said quietly, trying not to make a scene. "You can't drive. And Brandon, give me the damn keys, Ethan." Her perfectly manicured nails dug into my arm. "Or I'll make you regret it." I should have just given them to her. Looking back, I should have handed over those keys and let whatever happened happen, but I was tired, I was hot, and for once in my life, I decided to say no. "No, Maya, you're drunk and I'm not letting you drive." Her eyes narrowed. For a moment, I thought she might actually slap me right there in front of everyone. Instead, she smiled a smile that should have warned me of the storm coming. "You'll regret this," she whispered, then stepped back into the crowd. An hour later, right in the middle of the cake-cutting ceremony, where everyone was celebrating Maya's acceptance to Yale, it happened. Maya swayed on her feet, her hand going to her forehead. I don't feel well," she said, her voice trembling. People moved closer, concerned. Catherine rushed to her side. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" And then Maya looked directly at me, her eyes filling with tears that I knew were fake, and she pointed her finger at me like she was identifying a murderer. He raped me," she sobbed, her voice breaking in all the right places. "Ethan raped me. I'm pregnant." The world stopped. Everything went silent except for the ringing in my ears. I stood there, frozen, my brain unable to process what she'd just said. "What?" I managed to choke out. "Maya, what are you?" I didn't get to finish. Caleb came at me like a freight train, his shoulder slamming into my chest with the force of a professional tackle. I flew backward, crashed through the buffet table, my head connecting with the brick of the outdoor fireplace. Stars exploded in my vision. Food and plates rained down around me. Before I could even register the pain, my stepfather was there pulling his leather belt from his pants. Not to restrain me, to use on me. The first strike hit my back, the second my arms, as I tried to shield myself. The third, fourth, fifth, I lost count. Each crack of leather against my skin brought fresh screams from the guests, but nobody stopped him. Nobody intervened. "You disgusting piece of filth!" Richard roared, his face purple with rage. "In my house! You violated my daughter in my house!" "I didn't," I screamed, tasting blood in my mouth. "I swear I didn't. Maya's lying. Please, you have to believe me." Catherine appeared holding a silver cross from the mantel, pointing it at me like I was a demon. "You devil! You corrupted this family. You defiled my baby girl." I tried to explain. Blood was pouring from somewhere on my head. My back was on fire. My ribs felt cracked, but I kept trying to make them understand. "Please, I never touched her. I swear on my mother's grave. I never touched her." But my pleas fell on deaf ears. The guests were pulling out their phones, some calling, the police, others filming. I could see the disgust on their faces. In their eyes, I was already guilty. A teenage boy accused of raping his 17-year-old stepsister. In their world, in their social circle, I was finished before I could even defend myself. The police arrived within 10 minutes. I was still on the ground, bleeding, trying to breathe through what felt like broken ribs. The officers didn't ask questions. They didn't want to hear my side. They just handcuffed me rough and tight and pressed my face into the grass. "You have the right to remain silent," one of them said, his voice hard and disgusted. I wasn't a person to them. I was a monster. At the police station, I sat in an interrogation room for 6 hours. My requests for a lawyer were ignored. My stepfather had already made calls. I'd learn later calls to his country club buddies who worked in the prosecutor's office. They were building a case before I even gave a statement. When Richard and Catherine finally showed up, I thought they were there to bail me out, to finally listen to reason, to realise that Maya was lying. Instead, my stepfather looked at the detective and said, "He's not my son. Never was. Keep him locked up or throw him out on the street. I don't care which, but he's not welcome in my home." "Dad, please," I begged, and I hate that I begged. I hate that I still called him Dad. "Please, just listen to me. Maya made this up because I wouldn't give her my car keys. She's been seeing this older guy, a drug dealer, and she—" "Shut your lying mouth," Catherine spat. making up stories about my angel to save your own skin. You should be ashamed. They left me there. No bail, no lawyer, no family. The next morning, a tired public defender showed up and told me I was being released. Maya had refused to undergo a medical examination, citing psychological trauma. Without physical evidence, without her cooperation, the DA's office couldn't build a strong enough case. But the damage was done. The whole town knew. The whole town believed. When I went back to the house to get my things, I found my suitcase already packed and thrown into the front yard. My clothes were scattered across the lawn, some of them burned, actually burned, still smoking. Caleb stood in the driveway with a lighter and a can of gasoline, grinning at me. "Oops," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "Guess we had a little fire." Catherine appeared at the door, holding that same silver cross. "You have 5 minutes to take what's left and get off my property," she said, her voice cold as ice. "God will judge you for your sins, Ethan, and hell is waiting." "But I didn't do anything." My voice cracked. I was so tired, so hurt, so confused. "Why are you doing this? I'm your son." "You were never my son," Richard said, appearing behind Catherine. "You were just baggage that came with your father. Now get out before I call the police again." I gathered what I could carry and walked away from the only home I'd known since I was 10 years old. I had $73 in my pocket, the clothes on my back, and nowhere to go. That night, I slept behind a dumpster at the truck stop using my jacket as a pillow. I was 16 years old, and my life as I knew it was over. The next 5 years were survival, pure, brutal survival. I learned quickly that the world doesn't care about your story. Nobody wants to hear that you're innocent when there are rumours swirling that you're a rapist. I tried to get jobs washing dishes, bussing tables, anything, but somehow word had spread. Richard had made sure of it. His reach extended through the whole county, and he'd made it his mission to ensure I'd never find my footing. I was robbed twice in my first month on the streets, beat up more times than I could count. I slept in cardboard boxes under highway overpasses, went days without food, and learned to avoid eye contact with everyone. The cold was the worst. That first winter, the temperatures dropped below zero, and there were nights I wasn't sure I'd wake up in the morning. I tried to go to social services, but at 16, I was in a grey area. Too young to be completely independent, too old for foster care, and with a rape accusation hanging over my head, nobody wanted to touch my case. I fell through every crack in the system. Rock bottom came on a February morning when I collapsed in front of an auto repair shop called Miller's Mechanics. I hadn't eaten in 4 days. The world was spinning. I just wanted it to stop. I woke up on a cot in the back office. An old man with grease-stained hands and kind eyes was sitting in a chair next to me reading a newspaper. "You gonna live?" he asked without looking up. I think so," I managed. "Good. I'm Tom Miller. This is my shop." He tossed me a wrap sandwich. "Eat that, then we'll talk." I devoured that sandwich like a wild animal. Tom watched me, without judgment, just patient observation. You're that kid," he finally said. "The one from the Whitmore family. Heard about what happened." My heart sank. "I didn't do it," I said automatically. "I swear I didn't." Tom held up a hand. "Don't care." "What?" I said I don't care. He stood up, grabbed a wrench from a toolbox. "Here's what I do care about. Can you work?" "Yes, sir." "Can you follow instructions?" "Yes, sir." "Can you keep your mouth shut and your head down?" "Yes, sir." "Then you can stay. Yeah, there's a cot in the back bathrooms through that door. You work, you eat. You don't work, you leave. Fair." It was the fairest thing anyone had offered me in months. More than fair. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I work my people hard. Tom Miller saved my life that day, though I wouldn't understand the full extent of it for years. He didn't just give me a job and a place to sleep. He gave me an education. I started by doing oil changes, rotating tyres, basic grunt work. But Tom was always watching, always teaching. Within 6 months, I could rebuild an engine. Within a year, I was handling the more complex repairs. But Tom taught me more than just mechanics. In the evenings after the shop closed, Tom would bring out books, not car manuals, business books, investment guides, real estate strategies. He taught me about compound interest, about property values, about how the wealthy built their empires. "You got screwed by rich people," Tom said one night, his reading glasses perched on his nose. "Only way to make sure it doesn't happen again is to become richer than them." "That's impossible," I said. I was 17 then, still sleeping on a cot, still washing my clothes in the shop sink. "Nothing's impossible if you're willing to work for it. And, kid, you've got something most people don't." "What's that?" "You've got nothing left to lose. That makes you dangerous." Over the next 3 years, I worked 16-hour days. Every penny I earned, Tom helped me invest. We started small, buying a rundown house at auction, fixing it up nights and weekends, then flipping it. We did it again and again. Tom handled the business side, teaching me every step. I provided the labour and learned everything I could. I was 19 when we made our first real money, a $50,000 profit on a commercial property flip. Tom looked at the check and smiled. "You're ready to go out on your own," he said. "I don't want to leave you. Not asking you to leave, asking you to grow." He pulled out a stack of papers. "I'm getting old, kid. Arthritis is killing me. I want to retire. So here's my proposal. You take over the shop. Pay me a percentage of profits until you've bought me out completely. Use it as your base while you build your real estate empire." "Tom, I can't." "You can and you will. But there's one condition." He looked at me seriously. "You need a new name, a new identity. Ethan Whitmore died in that driveway 3 years ago. It's time to become someone new, someone stronger." That's when Ethan Wolfe was born. I changed my name legally, got new documents, started fresh. The kid who'd been accused and abandoned didn't exist anymore. In his place was someone harder, someone sharper, someone who would never be a victim again. By the time I was 21, I owned 3 properties and the mechanic shop. By 23, I had a small construction crew. By 25, I was bidding on commercial projects. And by 28, I was the CEO of Wolfe Industries, one of the largest construction and real estate development companies in the state. But I never forgot. Not for a single day. I tracked my old family obsessively. Social media made it easy. I watched as Caleb flunked out of college, as he bounced from job to job, never quite living up to his father's expectations. I saw Maya's descent into party culture, her increasingly erratic posts, the signs of addiction becoming clearer with each passing year. I watched as Richard made bad investment after bad investment, influenced by Caleb's get-rich-quick schemes. Cryptocurrency, penny stocks, pyramid schemes, disguised as business opportunities. Their wealth built over generations was evaporating, and I watched as their debts mounted, as they mortgaged the mansion, as they refinanced again and again, as the bank finally filed foreclosure notices. That's when I made my move. Through a shell company, I bought their debt, all of it, the mortgage, the credit cards, everything. And then I waited for the perfect moment to reveal myself. It came on a Tuesday afternoon. I walked up to the front door of my childhood home wearing a $5,000 suit flanked by my lawyer and 2 security personnel. I'd called ahead, of course, using a secretary's name, saying that representatives from Wolfe Industries needed to discuss the property foreclosure. Catherine answered the door. She'd aged poorly. Stress had carved deep lines into her face. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by department store basics. She looked at me with confusion, not recognition. "Yes, are you from the bank?" In a manner of speaking, I removed my sunglasses. "Hello, Catherine." I watched the recognition dawn, watched the colour drain from her face, watched her mouth open and close like a fish out of water. "Ethan. Actually, it's Mr. Wolfe now. May we come in?" She stepped back, trembling. We walked into the house I'd once called home. It looked different, emptier. Most of the expensive art was gone, probably sold. The furniture was worn. The grandeur had faded. Richard was in the living room, hunched over a laptop, probably trying to find some way out of his financial hole. He looked up, annoyed at the interruption, then froze when he saw me. "What the hell is this?" he barked, standing up. "This is a business meeting," I said calmly. "Please sit down." "I'll do no such thing. Catherine, call the police." "I wouldn't do that if I were you," my lawyer said smoothly. "My client owns your debt. All of it. We're here to discuss terms." Your client, Richard's eyes narrowed, then widened. No, that's not possible. Very possible, I said, settling into the chair that used to be his favourite, the one I was never allowed to sit in. You owe approximately $2.3 million, Richard, to various institutions, all of which have sold your debt to my company. I'm here to inform you that foreclosure proceedings will begin next week unless we reach an alternative arrangement. Caleb thundered down the stairs, probably having heard raised voices. He'd gotten soft over the years, still big but running to fat. His Letterman jacket from high school was stretched tight over his gut. Who the hell are you to come into our... He stopped mid-sentence, recognition hitting him like a truck. Holy shit, is that the loser? The name is Ethan Wolfe, I said, not standing, not intimidated by his size anymore. And you'll address me as Mr. Wolfe or Sir. He laughed, that same cruel laugh from our childhood. You've got to be kidding me. The little bitch came back? What do you want, pussy? Come to beg for forgiveness. No, mate. Caleb, sit down and shut up, I said, my voice cold as winter. The adults are talking. You piece of... He lunged at me just like he had all those years ago at the barbecue. He didn't get far. My head of security, a former Marine named Rodriguez, had him on the ground with his arm twisted behind his back in under 2 seconds. Caleb screamed in pain. Let him go, I said. Rodriguez released him immediately. Caleb scrambled back, cradling his arm, his face red with humiliation and pain. As I was saying, I continued as if nothing had happened. We need to discuss the property. But first I'd like to see Maya. Where is she? She's not here, Catherine said quickly. Too quickly. Actually, my lawyer interjected, checking his phone. According to the private investigator we have on retainer, she's upstairs in her bedroom. Should I have Mr. Rodriguez retrieve her? That won't be necessary, a voice said from the top of the stairs. Maya descended slowly. She'd changed the most. The golden girl was gone. In her place was a hollow-eyed woman who looked older than her 27 years. Her hair was stringy, her skin sallow. The drugs had taken their toll. But when she saw me, saw the suit, saw the success, radiating from every pore, I watched something calculate behind those eyes. That old manipulative spark flickered to life. Ethan. Her voice was soft trembling. Oh my God, Ethan, I've missed you so much. She rushed down the stairs, tears already forming, arms outstretched as if to embrace me. I held up a hand. Don't. She stopped, hurt flashing across her face. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. Didn't care to tell. Don't touch this suit with those hands, or, I said, it costs more than your mother's car. Ethan, please, I know you're angry, but... Angry? I laughed. Actually laughed. Maya, I'm not angry. I'm successful. There's a difference. I'm so sorry, she sobbed, and the tears were flowing now. I was young and stupid and scared, and I made a terrible mistake. I've regretted it every single day. I've been in therapy. I've been trying to get clean. Please, please forgive me. I looked at her for a long moment. Part of me, a small part, almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Tell me, I said quietly. Where's the baby? Where's my supposed child? She paled. I lost it. Miscarriage. The stress. Interesting. I cut her off. Because, according to the medical records, my investigator pulled there was never any pregnancy. But there was an abortion 3 months before you accused me for a pregnancy that wasn't mine. Want to guess whose it was? The room went silent. Richard and Catherine stared at Maya in horror. That's a lie, Maya shrieked. You're lying. I have the medical records. I have testimony from the clinic staff. I have your text messages to your dealer boyfriend Brandon discussing the abortion. I pulled out my phone, showed them screenshots. I have everything, Maya. I've had it for 2 years. I was just waiting for the right time to use it. You've been planning this, Catherine whispered. Every single day for 10 years, I said. Now, let's discuss business. I'm prepared to forgive the debt and return the house under one condition. Hope flared in their eyes. They were so predictable. Maya appears on local television and live streams a full confession. She admits to fabricating the rape accusation. She explains why she did it. She apologizes publicly. Do this and I'll forgive everything. They huddled together, whispering frantically. I could see the debate, their pride versus their survival. After 10 minutes, Richard turned to me. Fine, we'll do it. No, Maya's voice was sharp. No, I won't. I'm not humiliating myself on television for him. Maya, we'll lose everything, Catherine pleaded. I don't care, I'm not doing it. I stood up, straightened my tie. Then, we're done here. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. After that, I'll have the house demolished to make way for a new development. A waste management facility, I think. The county needs one. Wait! Richard grabbed my arm. I looked down at his hand on my sleeve like it was a poisonous spider. He released me immediately. Please, he said, and it was the first time I'd ever heard him beg. Please, Ethan, we're family. No, I said simply. You told me I wasn't your son. You told me I was never family. I'm just taking your word for it. Goodbye, Richard. I walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Catherine sobbing, heard Richard pleading, heard Caleb cursing. But it was Maya's voice that made me stop. Fine, I'll do it. I'll do your stupid confession. I turned back. Really? Just like that? Yes, just give us the house back. Give us our lives back. I smiled. All right, Maya, I'll give you a chance to make this right. In fact, I'll do you one better. This weekend, I'm hosting a charity gala at the Grand Ballroom downtown. All proceeds go to victims of false accusations. I've invited every major media outlet in the state. You'll confess they're in front of everyone who matters. That's not what we agreed to, Maya protested. It's what we're agreeing to now. Take it or leave it. They took it. Of course they did. They were desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. The night of the gala arrived. I'd spared no expense. The Grand Ballroom was decorated like something out of a fairy tale. Ice sculptures, champagne fountains, a live orchestra. The guest list included senators, judges, business leaders, and yes, every media outlet that mattered. My stepfamily arrived in a borrowed car wearing borrowed clothes. I'd made sure they looked presentable. After all, this was my show, and I needed them to look the part. Thank you all for coming. I addressed the crowd after dinner. Tonight we're here to support a cause close to my heart, helping those who have been falsely accused of crimes they didn't commit. Before we announce the donation totals, I have a special guest who would like to share her story. Maya Whitmore. Please, come up. Maya walked to the stage, her face pale. I could see her hand shaking as she took the microphone. She opened her mouth to speak, and I knew she was about to give some rehearsed, half-hearted apology. That's when I hit the button on my phone. The lights dimmed. The massive screen behind the stage lit up. And there was Maya, younger, healthier, sitting in a bar with her friends drunk and laughing. The audio played through the ballroom speakers crystal clear. That idiot Ethan, Vidya Maya said, her voice dripping with contempt. I got rid of him to claim all the inheritance, the pregnancy, that was from my dealer boyfriend Brandon. I got rid of it months ago. Made up the rape story and everyone believed it. Too easy. Her friends on the video laughed. You're evil, one of them said admiringly. I'm smart, Maya corrected. That foster kid thought he was part of the family. Please, he was always just free labor. Good riddance. The video ended. The lights came back up. 300 pairs of eyes turned to Maya, who stood frozen at the podium, tears streaming down her face. Real tears this time. Tears of shame and fear. The whispers started immediately. Then, the shouts. Is this true? She destroyed that boy's life. Someone call the police. And they did. I'd made sure the district attorney was in attendance. I'd made sure he had copies of every piece of evidence I'd collected over the years, the medical records proving there was never a pregnancy from rape. The videos I'd had a private investigator capture of Maya buying and using drugs. The testimony from Brandon, who was more than willing to talk in exchange for a reduced sentence on his own charges, everything. The police came. Not for me this time, for Maya. As they put the handcuffs on her, as she screamed and fought as reporters swarmed for comments, I felt Catherine grab my arm. Please, she begged. Please, don't do this. She's my daughter. I'll do anything. We'll sell everything. Just don't let them take her. I looked at her, this This woman who had held a cross up to me like I was a demon. You should have thought about that 10 years ago. Richard came next, falling to his knees, actually to his knees in front of me. Ethan, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Please have mercy. We're family. I crouched down to his level. You know what you said to me at the police station that night? You said, he's not my son. Never was. Do you remember that? He nodded, sobbing. Well, Richard, I'm not your son. I'm not your family. I'm just the guy who owns your house, your debt, and your future. You have 24 hours to clear out. After that, I'm demolishing it to make way for a public landfill. Enjoy your new life. Caleb predictably tried to fight me one last time. He charged at me with a raw, fists raised. I'd been training in Krav Maga for 5 years. It took me exactly 2 seconds to sidestep his attack and use his own momentum to send him face first into the floor. I heard something crack. His arm, probably. Security had him restrained before he could get back up. I walked out of that ballroom to the sound of Maya screaming, Richard sobbing, Catherine praying, and Caleb cursing. The reporters shouted questions at me. I gave them nothing but a small smile and a wave. Outside, Tom was waiting by my car. He was retired now, living comfortably off his share of our business, but he'd insisted on being here tonight. Feel better? He asked. Not worse, I admitted. Good enough. He clapped me on the shoulder. Now comes the hard part. What's that? Actually living your life instead of planning revenge. He was right, of course. He usually was. The legal proceedings took months. Maya was charged with filing a false police report, fraud drug possession with intent to distribute. She ended up serving 3 years and, from what I heard through the Grapevine prison, was not kind to her. The other inmates didn't take kindly to liars and manipulators. She learned what it felt like to be at the bottom, just like I had. Richard and Catherine lost everything. The house was demolished. I didn't actually build a landfill that was just salt in the wound. Instead, I built a community centre for at-risk youth, named it the Miller Centre after Tom. But I made sure they knew. I made sure they drove past it every day on their way to their cramped apartment in the bad part of town. Caleb bounced from job to job, but with a criminal record for assault, and his reputation destroyed. Nobody wanted to hire him. Last I heard, he was working as a night security guard at a warehouse, exactly the kind of life he used to mock. As for me, Wolf Industries continued to grow. I expanded into 3 more states. I met a brilliant corporate lawyer named Sarah, who challenged me and made me laugh and didn't put up with my brooding. We got engaged, and for the first time in years, I was thinking about the future instead of the past. But I won't lie and say it was all easy. There were nights I'd wake up from nightmares back in that driveway, with my clothes burning, or in that police interrogation room, or behind that dumpster in the freezing cold. The trauma doesn't just go away because you got revenge. It doesn't disappear because you became successful. I went to therapy. I dealt with my anger. I learned that holding on to hate was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Tom had been right. The hard part wasn't getting revenge. The hard part was letting go and actually building something new. 6 months ago, I was in my office on the 45th floor of downtown's newest skyscraper, a building my company had built when my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then Catherine's voice, older, weaker. Ethan, I should have hung up, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want? Richard had a heart attack. He's in the hospital. They don't think he'll make it. Her voice cracked. He's asking for you. He wants to apologise. Please, give him this one chance. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, looking out at the city I'd conquered. The city where I'd once slept in gutters and now owned buildings. I thought about 16-year-old me bleeding on the ground, begging for someone to believe him. I thought about the years of pain, the hunger, the cold, the hopelessness. No, I said simply. Ethan, please. I gave him chances. I begged him to listen. He chose not to. Actions have consequences, Catherine. You taught me that. But he's dying. Don't you have any compassion? I have exactly as much compassion as he showed me when I was 16 and homeless, which is to say none. I hung up. Richard died 2 days later. I didn't go to the funeral. I sent flowers with a card that read, "To a man who got exactly what he deserved." Petty, maybe. But after what they put me through, I'd earned a little pettiness. Today, I'm standing on the balcony of my penthouse, a glass of wine in my hand, watching the sunset paint the sky red and gold. Sarah is inside planning our wedding. Tom is coming over for dinner later. My company just signed a deal to build a new hospital wing that will help hundreds of people. The past is dead. Maya is in prison. Caleb is broken. Catherine is alone. Richard is in the ground. And me, I'm free. I've learned that the best revenge isn't just success. It's indifference. It's reaching a point where you're so far beyond the people who hurt you that they become irrelevant. They're not even worth the mental energy it takes to hate them. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't satisfaction in watching them fall while I rose. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy their suffering at least a little bit. Does that make me a bad person? Maybe. But I prefer to think it makes me human. The truth is, what happened to me broke something inside. It took years to build myself back up. But when I did, I built something stronger. Something that couldn't be broken again. Ethan Whitmore died in that driveway. Ethan Wolfe was forged in the fire of survival. Would I change what happened if I could go back? Part of me wants to say yes. The trauma, the pain, the years of struggling, they left scars that will never fully heal. But those same experiences made me who I am. They gave me the drive to succeed, the street smarts to survive, and the determination to never be anyone's victim again. My phone buzzes, another message from an unknown number. I almost delete it without looking, but something makes me check. It's from Maya, using someone else's phone from prison. Just 2 words, "I'm sorry." I stare at those words for a long time. 10 years ago, those words would have meant everything to me. 5 years ago, they would have given me satisfaction. Now, they're just words. Too little too late, and from someone who's only sorry they got caught. I delete the message and pour myself another glass of wine. The past is dead. Long live the wolf. So, here's my question for you. If you were in my position with the power to destroy the people who destroyed you, would you do it? Or would you have taken the high road and forgiven them? Drop your answer in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more real-life stories of justice, revenge, and redemption. Sometimes the best way to move forward is to make sure the people who tried to bury you know you survived. The world tried to break me. Instead, I broke the world, and I'd do it all again in a heartbeat.